I'm Florence. I'm Maribu. How are you guys doing? Hope you all are doing great. So, guys, today's tutorial will be showing us how to cut the shoulder dart bustier. Before we go ahead with the video, I really want to appreciate each and every one of us. Thank you for supporting your girl. I appreciate you all. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. So, guys, the first thing I went ahead to do is to get my shoulder measurement, which is 18 inches. I divided by my shoulder measurement by 2, which gives us 9 inches. That 9 inches I added 2.5 inches because we are going to have our bustier, shoulder bustier. So I went down by 1 inch for our shoulder slant. I got my shoulder with my neck width, which is 3.5, and the neck depth, which is 5.5 inches. So I will connect that point just to create my curve at the neck. At this point, I will connect the shoulder slant to the neck width. So guys, it's time for us to create the armhole. So I took 9 inches for my armhole. To get your armhole measurement, you can use bust divided by 4. Whatever that gives you, you add 1.5 to it. That whatever you have, that is your armhole measurement. So guys, I'm just making a straight line to get the midline of my armhole. 9 inches divided by 2, that gives us 4.5, and I will be going in by 1/2 inch. After that, I will now go ahead for me to create the curve. I want to impute my shoulder and my bust measurement, which is 42 inches divided by 4. I'll be adding 3.5 inches to that. Forty-two inches divided by 4, that is 10.5 plus 3.5 inches for us. Since we are cutting bustier, I like adding a 3.5 inches. So the next thing I will go ahead to impute right now is to put in the vertical measurement, which is the bust, the under bust, the waistline, the hip point. Guys, I imputed the under bust first before the bust line. I will come back to that. You will see exactly when I will come back to impute my bust points. So I'm just trying to get all the points, so at the end I will connect those points to have a straight line. This is a basic bodies. Basic bodies, you know, most styles, most cutting starts from your basic bodies. So that is the most important thing to do. Once you are able to create your basic bodies, every other style starts off from there. So the next thing I'm doing right now, guys, as I said earlier, I'm coming back to impute my bust line, which is 11.5, and I've done that. I connect those 2 points to get a straight line. Now I'll be getting my nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. I divided that by 2, which gives me 4 inches. I added 1/2 inch to it, which is 4.5. Guys, at the bust line I imputed 4.5 inches, but at the under bust waistline, hip line, I'll be imputing 3.5 inches because I don't want it to be straight, you know, just to give it a kind of curve. I don't want it to be at the same 4.5 with the bust line. You can make it straight, it doesn't matter. You still arrive at the same the same at the same answer. I mean, other sorry to say. So that is just to, you can see the way the curve is. I just want to give it a curve. If you make yours straight, it stay the same thing. So at the shoulder line, guys, I'm not including the allowance, the 2.5. I'm only taking the exact measurement. I will be taking the midpoint of my shoulder. I'll be taking the midpoint of the shoulder, which is 18. Half of it, I'll be taking the midline of the shoulder. Half of that 9 inches, I'll be taking the midline. You can see I took the midline of the shoulder, then connect the bust, the nipple to nipple to that. So guys, now it's time for us to create the curve. I'll be taking 2.5 inches to create my bustier. This time, guys, is depending on the measurement you are working with. If you are working with S large, large, small, depending, but I'm working with this is large stroke S large, so that's why I'm taking 2.5 inches. Definitely, if you are working with medium, it's going to be lesser than that. So it might be 2 inches depending on the measurement. So at the bust measurement, I'll be going down by 1 inch. I went down by 1 inch at the bust line. So this point, I will connect it to that 1 inch I went down, just as you see me do so. I'm going to connect that. So guys, at the upper side of we want to have great curve at the upper side. So not necessarily on the neckline. You just like when you measure your tape from where you want the cup to stop at the upper side. So it's not necessarily, it must be on the neckline, the same line with the neckline. So what I'm trying to show us there here, guys, whatever you see, you have that point at the lower part. So we want to create that too at the upper part. The downside of it, we took 2.5 inches, but at the upper side, we will not be taking 2.5, we'll be taking 1.5 inches, depending on the size we are working with. You can take 1 inch depending on how small the space is at the down or lower side. So since I'm working with 2.5 at the lower side, so I took out 1 inch, I'll be using 1.5 inch at the upper side. Guys, whatever I have down, you can see the same two lines down, 2 lines up at the shoulder and under on the other side. So I went up to at 1 inch, just the same way we went down at the bust line 1 inch. I went up to 1 inch, so I will connect that just the same way we connected the down part. We connect that. We are just creating up, guys. The same thing we did at downside, we are going to do it upside the upper side too. That way we'll create our cup. You can see how nice the cup came out. So now, guys, I want to impute my length of the blouse. I used to say I impute all my allowance, sewing allowance, or my pattern. You can just make your exact measurements when you are cutting out. You input, you add your allowance, but I like adding all my allowance to my pattern. So now, guys, I'll be putting my bust measurement, which is 4 inches, divided by 4. I added 3.5 inches for everything. You can see I will add that 2 inches right there. After that, my under bust measurement plus the 2.5 inches that I'm going to cut out, plus 1.5 for sewing allowance, which gives us 3.5 inches. So I will 2.5 plus the 2.5 plus 1.5. 2.5 plus 1.5 is 4 inches. I'm sorry. So I will get all those points and connect it together. Remember, guys, your bust measurement you divide by 4. Waist, hip, it's by 4. It's only your shoulder measurement that you divide by 2. So guys, this is the way it's looking. If you have watched up to this point and you've not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Support your girl. Give me a like, but like this video if you find it useful. Leave me a comment in the comment section. That way YouTube will recommend my video and you are also supporting your girl. So guys, we are going ahead to cut the back panel. Just the same thing, you mark out 1.5 inch for your zipper allowance. We still go ahead to make our shoulder measurement, which is 18. We are dividing it by 2, which gives us 9. I'll be adding 1 inch to that. I'll go ahead and make my neck width. I'm using 3.5. The neck depth, I don't want it too down, depending on how you want your neck depth, whichever way you want it. I'm using 4 inches. I will connect that to my neck width. I'm going down right now to create my shoulder slant. I went down by 1 inch. I will connect that to the neck width. The same thing with the shoulder, the armhole length, which is 9 inches. I will just go ahead and create a line. I will call that my chest line. It's now time to get our vertical measurement. My bust point, I will be creating 2 points to make a straight line. My under bust point, which is 16.5. I'll go ahead and connect those points. Guys, I'm inputting my waistline right now. I'm just trying to label what I have cut out. I have marked out the chest line, bust line, waistline, under bust, waistline, hip line. So I will go ahead and get the length of the blouse. So at this point, guys, I want to get my curve, armhole curve. So I will just connect, make a straight line, get the midline of the armhole line, which is 4.5. At this point, we are not going in just the same way we did at the front. We'll just leave that point, that's where our curve is gonna stop. I will impute the bust measurement, which is 42.5. Guys, at this point, I'm not going to add 4 inches to their sewing allowance because we are not creating any curve here. I added 1.5 or 2 inches depending on how much allowance you want to have. Then I will go ahead to get the nipple to nipple measurement. At the back side, I'm not reducing it at any point. I'm just making straight down 4 inches nipple to nipple, which is 80. Add ½ inch for sewing, which is 1.5. I took that down, so I'm reducing ½ inch down so as to have a slant. I'll reduce the ½ inch down just to have a slant to connect it to the bust line. That way, if you want to go ahead and have the midline for the shoulder, you can go ahead and do so. But when I was sewing it, I didn't cut it out. I only had a dart at the back. I held it and stopped at the bust line. I didn't cut out that. I'm just showing us in case you want to make it the same thing to look the same with the front. You can go ahead and cut out that. But I'm just showing us for the purpose of for those that wants to do it. But I didn't do that. I just had just the dart at the back. So I will go ahead and impute the measurement for my sewing. My bust is 42 inches. I divided that by 4. My underbust is 38 inches. I divided that by 4. So all the measurements I'm having at this point, I'll be dividing it by 4, except my shoulder measurement, which is divided by 2. So I will connect those points. Connect those. But thank you all for watching at this point. Please don't forget to comment. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Bye bye.